I'll never forget when I tried the fucking tigres that you guys were making, which is like the most like classic bar food ever. But it was fino. Fuck, that shit was insane.
I'm Oliver Guardo. My abuelos left Spain in the 1960s, looking for a better life. In 2010, I moved to Madrid to do the same. Today, I'm a food guide, home cook, and student of all things Spanish food. I'm not here to show you paella and manchego. I want to take you to the hidden corners, the small producers, and the welcoming people that make eating in Spain so damn special. This is Madrid's Chamberí district, home to the Mercado Vallehermoso. Established in the 1930s, just before the start of the Spanish Civil War, the Mercado was built as part of the Plan General de Mercados, which created 50 mercados abastos, or general provision markets, throughout the city. For generations, Madrileños have come to these markets for fresh ingredients, direct from the sellers that they know by name. But with the rise of the supermarket in the late 20th century, these mercados began to hollow out. But what has saved many markets has been a new generation of restaurants and restaurateurs moving into the abandoned stalls. And Batch, here in Vallehermoso, is one of my favorite examples.
What was this before it was Batch?
It was Asturian product stall.
I remember
with
this.
cheeses and cachopos.
Yeah,
and
I remember
And
now.
then before that, it was a butcher from the year like 1950s or something like that.
This is Dani and Nacho. Dani is a classically trained chef who came up in Michelin kitchens in Sevilla and Paris. Nacho is a former industrial designer who, before coming into gastronomy, worked as a designer in Copenhagen. And today, they have invited me to join them as they prep and chat about life in the market.
How would you guys define yourselves? Because the name refers to the fermented stuff that you guys.
yeah.
So that's incorporated in most of the menu, right?
Some of them, yeah. Now we're mostly focusing on the seasonal product, despite or not it's fermented. But has to be the product first.
Right.
So you can highlight what we have here with the seasons.
Definitely like a really strong, like the food is really Spanish at its core.
Yeah, it is.
With influences from elsewhere, right?
From France,
of course.
Technically it's France.
Yeah.
But the product is Spanish.
Can I help you? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that actually.
The dishes that Dani and Nacho are preparing today rely on some classic but lesser-known Spanish ingredients, like these borrajas, an edible flower stem.
Parece comida de vieja. A ver, se está olvidando poquito a poco comer borraja. Yo creo que te la hace, es comida de madre o de abuela, yo creo, ¿no? Ahora si le dices a un joven que se haga una borraja.
Hombre, nosotros yo creo que mucha gente diría, ¿ah, qué? O sea,
sí, hombre, sí.
¿Eso qué es?
Eso es. Se sorprendería, realmente, ¿no?
The other dish is one of my favorites, bochas, a fresh white bean stew.
And so how are you guys going to do these? You have a broth, I assume?
Yeah, these are gonna be cooked with mushrooms, duck stock, and a sausage that we make from same duck and a little bit of foie.
A duck sausage that you guys are making here.
Yeah,
That's
we're doing
fucking
house.
ridiculous. Es que no sabía que era tanto curro esto. O sea,
¿Esto?
esto es gustoso.
Esto no
no me voy a poner a pelar esa mierda.
Intensive flavor, yeah.
Markets like these had developed a sort of symbiotic relationship with their new tenants. Stall restaurants like Batch have their most important vendors right across from the kitchen.
Claro, o sea, te falta una cebolla y la tienes ahí al lado, ¿sabes?
Claro. How long do you think this model, because like the reality is with this market, in the last few years, a lot of the traditional places have closed and restaurants open up. Has its good side and its bad side.
It is.
What do you think about this?
It has a lot of potential getting restaurants to power up the old food stalls, and also it's sad because nobody wants to be a butcher anymore, nobody wants to be
it's
a fish butcher anymore, nobody wants to be a fruit seller anymore. These guys are, when they close, they're gonna be closed.
It's done.
And probably there's not gonna be another restaurant there, this is gonna be empty.
Today, this is one of the only produce stands left in the market.
Hola Alberto, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
Alberto and his family have been running this stall for decades. They help supply Batch. While we grabbed some ingredients, he told us about the changes he's seen here over the years.
Cuando yo entré aquí seríamos unas 20 fruterías.
Dentro del mercado.
dentro del mercado.
Es una locura.
Y luego pues esto ha ido cambiando, la gente ha ido cambiando.
Y la entrada a los supermercados, entiendo.
Claro, entra a los supermercados, gente joven, con menos tiempo, y ahora pues según está la vida, trabajan los dos en una familia, pues hacen una compra rápida, ya sea por internet, ya sea un supermercado, ya sea un tal, y tienen menos costumbre de venir aquí.
Bueno, ¿qué opinas de los restaurantes aquí?
No, hemos cogido muy bien con los restaurantes y,
Sí, ¿no?
y tal. Y
Pero ha cambiado muchísimo
que nos
la
aportamos
dinámica aquí.
cosas unos a otros y otros a unos. Nos conoce gente que antes a lo mejor no venía, pues por lo que te hablamos, que no te costumbre de comprar en los mercados, y ahora por los restaurantes pues vienen y bueno, pues un día se le antoja una cosa, pues mañana vengo y bueno, pues hace como 10 o 12 años no había nada de restauración y lo que hablamos que no entra gente nueva, entonces se iban jubilando y nos quedamos aquí muy poquitos. Llegamos a ser 15 o 16 puestos abiertos nada más y soportar los gastos de este edificio, de la vigilancia, del canon al ayuntamiento, pues era prácticamente imposible. Y pasamos unos años ahí muy malos, que pensábamos que no seguíamos adelante. Pero bueno, hemos entrado en restauración y lo que te digo, apoyándonos unos con otros, con los gastos, con las compras y esto, pues seguimos.
O sea, en parte
aquí a pie de
gracias
cañón.
a estos
Efectivamente.
taberneros, digamos,
Sí,
o cocineros,
Gracias a ellos.
viene más gente.
Y subsistimos gracias a ellos. Si no, ya te digo, que el paso que llevamos hace 12 años o por ahí era a desaparecer este mercado, desaparecíamos, este y todos.
And change is not just happening in the markets. Across Madrid, a new generation of restaurants are rediscovering what was already here.
¿Cerveza? 2, más, 3, 4.
This is La Capa, a new spot making old food in the working class neighborhood of Carabanchel, on Madrid's west side.
Arroz con leche, helado al corte, de leche de cabra y mousse de chocolate, con aceite y sal. Arroz con leche,
Founded by Piru,
M3.
Arturo, and Martin, these guys are revitalizing the classic casa de comidas.
The concept of casa de comidas, you know, where instead of creating new things or just going around in circles and making the kitchen very special and very unique, you just go traditional, but you make it nice. We want to make something very simple, very classic, very normal, just homey, you know, comfort food.
Sale.
They've even left the restaurant exactly how it's been since it was built decades ago.
I came and I saw it and I kind of fell in love with all this work. Everything was here, so we basically respected everything that was here.
La Capa is only open Thursday through Saturday for dinner and Sunday afternoon for lunch.
And when we run out, we run out. I think that's very special about it because it's like what the market offers, what the farms offer, what the season offers. When that goes away, we move to something else. We don't want it to feel pretentious. We want people to know that here you can find quality in the food, in the wines, and also like giving this neighborhood a different option.
Hostia. ¡Qué bueno!
New to the neighborhood, their most important customer is the one who lives around the corner, the ones who grew up eating this food at home.
If you live close, come by. We'll try to build a community around here because we know that in the long run, if this lasts, that's going to be the most important part of it.
The future of gastronomy is here.
Back across town, we've got a reservation at Batch to make.
¿Qué recomendáis?
Tengo hambre.
Las pochas las quería probar, for sure, porque ayudamos a... Bueno, yo ayudé a pelar.
Tonight, I'm joined by my friend, Alberto Ruffoni, a sommelier and writer who has spent years watching Madrid's restaurants and markets evolve and change.
Qué maravilla. This is something that people from abroad needs to know. Like markets in Spain, it's not just a place where you go to buy stuff. You grab a beer and eat something easy.
Well, especially, I think, a few
It's the
markets.
giro.
This one is one of the markets, I think, where you have the most. You have Tripea right here, which is on the Michelin Guide. You have these guys doing very fine dining, and this this is probably one of maybe 2 or 3 markets doing this.
And this is the place to be. Yeah.
Right.
This is the market. The market becomes again a place to socialize. There's a different kind of socialization, but it's something lovely. So you can find a batch, like a place that you could find with a Michelin star, I don't know, in any other place in Madrid, fancy with a nice table setting and whatever, because the food is fine dining, but it's relaxed, it's open to what can happen. It's not closed.
Yeah.
It's not a closed menu, it's not a closed space, it's not a closed way of understanding or eating. And they are creative.
Extremely. Making predictions is probably not something you enjoy, but like make a prediction. Where do you think things are going to go in the next 5-10 years? Because I think we're living in an interesting time in Madrid.
What happens in Paris, what happened in London, what happened in New York, in San Francisco, wherever, globalized city. No? That is Madrid nowadays that it wasn't before.
Which on one hand is really exciting, right?
Yeah, that's really good.
But it comes with globalization and the elimination of anything local, interesting.
I think there is a globalization as we know it. Then, or we realize how everything local and traditional is disappearing. We romanticize it, and tortilla de patatas becomes whoa.
That's exactly what's happening. We're at that moment
and
right now.
What I hope is to come back to casa de comidas. That's what I hope that we value again with local vision and taste.
Is there anybody doing that right now in the format of like bar or restaurant?
I don't know. I love La Capa. La Capa is doing this. This is trying to make an adaptation of this natural wine bar with the casa comidas. I think it's a beautiful example too. Homemade, uncomplicated food.
I feel like La Capa's respecting tradition, and the food is not that different than it would have been 30 years ago here in Madrid.
No, probably not.
A bit more maybe actualized or kind of modernized.
Where you will find me is where to eat a nice plato de cuchara.
Yeah.
A nice traditional dish, like good product, traditional homemade food, revaluing or putting in value the real stuff with no expensive prices. It happens with the same with fine dining, with something like this. We don't need all this shiny stuff to eat something that is delicious, that is delicate, that is precise, that is creative. But I think it's an answer to. It's something that I hope that we can find more places like this. El puto foie planchado,
Hold it.
If you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more mini docs coming up. We also have a series of recipes, interviews with chefs from around Spain, and lots of more content about Spanish food on the way. No te lo pierdas. Gracias y que aproveche.
Oh, timing que te cagas.